Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Aision Handcrafts Gold Leaf Hand Gas Subdued Colour Limited Edition. This watch is available from aisiondesign.com for $788, which is €719. Aision are a microbrand based in Hong Kong, and the dial for this limited edition version of the handcrafts is made by Momentum Factory Ori in Japan. So this piece is a limited edition of 200 numbered pieces, and each of the numbered pieces have the unique serial number engraved into the case back. This is number 190 of 200. So firstly, let's look at the hard shell travel case that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a hard shell travel case, which is housed inside an outer cardboard watch box, and the cardboard watch box is protected by a cardboard sleeve you remove. So this is the outer cardboard watch box. As you can see, we have the Aision logo, and below it says "Your Vision, Our Mission," which is the brand slogan. So securing the flap, we have two magnets, one magnet in the flap and one magnet in the body. Now, often when I review watches which have magnets in the watch boxes, collectors comment on my videos. They're concerned about the magnets magnetizing the movement use, but I can confirm that there's a very light attraction, which indicates the magnets do not generate enough magnetic field in order to magnetize the movement use, which is the Miyota caliber 9015 automatic. So two magnets do a good job of securing the flaps, which you pull down. And inside we have the hard shell travel case, which is protected by this fabric dust bag. So very good presentation, good attention to detail. As you can see, the hard shell travel case is finished to a good standard in black PU leather, alternatively vinyl, and it's embossed with the Aision logo. Flawless stitching around the perimeter, which is very good, no loose stitches, and good attention to detail because on the base we also have the Aision logo embossed. There's a zip securing the lid, so I'll open the lid and show it to you. The interior is upholstered with a contrasting grey velour fabric to good standard, and in the base the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion, which is also grey velour fabric upholstered to a good standard. Padded pillow cushion is a good snug fit in the base, so very well finished, good presentation. Aision deserve credit here because they're a micro brand and the price point of this piece is mid-tier at €719. Therefore they could have taken the less expensive default option of just using a plastic or cardboard watch box, but this hard shell travel case is aesthetically pleasing, it is well finished, and I like it. I think it's good looking. With regards to the items that come with the watch, it also comes with this Aision branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth irrespective of the price point of a piece. And lastly, one also gets this plastic warranty card. On the reverse, it's filled in with the reference number of the piece, the serial number, because as I've detailed, this version of the handcrafts is a numbered limited edition. This is number 190 of 200. Also has a space to fill in the date of purchase, stamped by the dealer, Aision Design Limited, and also has the website, aisiondesign.com. The watch is covered by a 12-month international warranty, which is good. The only thing that's missing is an owner's instruction manual with clear concise diagrams and the instructions printed in English detailing the operation of the movement use, which is the Miyota caliber 9015 automatic. So I'd like to see Aision improve and add an additional owner's instruction manual, or alternatively a plastic card with a QR code that could be scanned with an iPhone or Android, and that would download an owner's instruction manual online. But other than that, good presentation and good to see the microfiber polishing cloth and plastic warranty card. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 40mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 45.7mm, a thickness of 11.1mm, and an integrated lug width of 17.3mm internally. So the internal lug width is 17.3, but the taper on the integrated bracelet is 26.9mm at the widest point, tapering down to 18mm at the 2-button push clasp. The 2-button push clasp is signed to high standard with high definition engraving of the Aision emblem and also Aision text logo, and the 2-button push triggers to the clasp open freely. Good strong spring-loaded action to the two triggers, and it's not handed. You can close the left or the right hand portion first. It doesn't matter, they don't overlap, which is good. Flat sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver mirror polished applied indices and silver mirror polished skeletonized handset. The applied indices and the skeletonized handset are fully lumed with BGW9 Superlume Nova, and there's a perfect colour tone match. They look white on the indices and white on the skeletonized handset. The hands are faceted rather than being flat, and they're clearly diamond cut brass, which has been mirror polished to a flawless standard. Quality of the plating of the brass and also the laser cutting is very sharp and crisp. This is one of the best finished handsets I've seen in the mid-tier at this price point of €719. They deserve credit for that. The proportions of the indices are good. I like the symmetry of the dial and the framed silver date window around the date complication at 6. Now on the dial you'll see it says Ori at 6 o'clock, and that refers to the dial manufacturer. So Aision design watches are made in Hong Kong, but the dials are made in Japan by Momentum Factory Ori. Momentum Factory Ori are highly respected in Japan for chemically colouring copper and brass metals. So this is a process that's taken place in Japan for over 100 years, and Momentum Factory Ori really are the very best at colouring brass and copper metals. So Momentum Factory Ori produced the dials for Aision design, and then Aision assembled the dials into their watches. Now the dial looks like it's blue painted and also gold painted, but it's not. It's actually made from copper, which has been chemically coloured, and the chemicals corrode the copper and brass, and therefore you get this blue tone to the dial which graduates into gold. The gold is actually made in Japan by Hakusa Inc. and Hakusa Inc. are highly respected in Japan for producing gold leaf. So what you're looking at on the lower portion of the dial is genuine gold leaf. This isn't gold paint and it's not electroplated to look like gold. This is genuine Japanese gold leaf. Aision deserve full credit here because one doesn't see genuine Japanese gold leaf from Hakusa Inc. at this price point in the mid-tier at €719. It is exceptional. So the dial is absolutely gorgeous. It's just mesmerising the way it graduates from the blue tone of the coloured copper, graduating down to the gold leaf which is applied on top of it, and it's just gorgeous. It's fantastic. It's one of the best dials I've seen with copper that's been chemically treated and chemically coloured and also gold leaf applied to it. Just fantastic. So Japanese made dial in the Hong Kong made piece. With regards to the bezel, it's a scalloped bezel which has Genta 1970 style design to it with the cutouts which are angular to the scallops. Concentric CNC lathe tool machining to the top edge of it, and then it's brushed satin finished. The scallops have a brushed satin finish and the outer portion of the bezel is mirror polished. Nice large chamfer to the scalloped bezel, and it's finished to perfection. To put this into perspective, this is the kind of bezel finishing one expects to see on high tier pieces costing €10,000 plus. The mid-tier, to clarify, is between €500 and €5,000 respectively, so at €719 this piece sits within the mid-tier, but this is clearly high-tier level finishing of the bezel, €10,000 price point plus. The case finishing is also exceptional, and again they deserve credit because nice angular profile to the Brutalis angular lug design, so it does again have 1970s Genta style profiling to it, but the mirror polishing to the bevels and the angular lugs is perfection. Again, this is the kind of head of the piece finishing one expects to see on high tier pieces costing in excess of €10,000, not mid tier pieces between 500 and 5,000 respectively. Quality of the mirror polishing is flawless. Every facet, every angle of the case has been deburred and chamfered very well. And also the angular profile to the mirror polished lugs and also the large bevels on the edge of the case are very good because they contrast with the longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the low profile slender flanks. Often with integrated bracelet pieces, they have tall, thick, slab-sided flanks to the case, and the piece is also very thick and top heavy. This piece is only 11.1mm, and Aision deserve full credit here for selecting the correct movement in the Miyota caliber 9015, which is low profile. The benefit of using a low profile caliber such as the 9015 is they've been able to reduce the thickness of this piece down to only 11.1, but it is 100 meters water resistant and it does have an exhibition case back which does add some thickness. But look how thin the flanks to the case are. Very low profile, very slender, and visually it does look and also feel very slender on wrist. On the crown side, you can see also has very low profile flanks to the case, large mirror polished bevel which marks the transition between the top of the mirror polished case and the longitudinal brushed satin finish flank. So the quality of the finishing really is high tier level, €10,000 plus price point level. The knurled crown matches the scalloped bezel. They've made the correct decision by using a knurled crown rather than using a coin edge crown, because really with a scalloped bezel with angular profiles, a knurled crown is appropriate rather than using a coin edge crown, and the proportions of the knurled crown are correct. It's not too large in diameter or thickness, so it doesn't project too far from the right hand flank, but it is large enough to get good purchase with your index finger and thumb in order to unscrew it and screw it back down. So solid 316L grade stainless steel crown, nice large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips of the knurled teeth, and also it's signed to a good standard with an engraved Aision logo. Mirror polishing is flawless. Let's test the screw down crown execution. So screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, which is strong specification. Silky smooth. This is sublime screw down crown execution. Perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. So quality control, build quality, machining and tolerances are exceptional. This is the kind of screw down crown one expects to see on high tier pieces costing €10,000 plus. This is a mid tier piece costing €719. Aision deserve full credit for getting it correct. So tolerances are good, quality control is good. Minimal number of turns required to fully unscrew it. So when it's unscrewed, we're now in the manual wind position, and one can manually wind Miyota caliber 9015 automatic to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. Feels nice and smooth to manually wind it. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up to its maximum 40 hours. I like it. You'll know from my previous reviews, the caliber 9015 is one of my personal favourites. I like the build quality, refinement, materials, quality control and finishing of it. Feels very good to manually wind. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication. So if you look at the silver framed date window at 6 o'clock, you can see the quick set complication clicks over with a nice positive click. The framing is good. It doesn't create a black shadow around the date window. Often it's the case with textured dials that they have a thick date framing, and that creates a shadow because the dial is thick and also the framing, the silver frame around the date window is too thick, and therefore it creates a permanent black shadow, and that reduces the legibility and the clarity of the white date wheel with black Arabic numerals. Aision deserve credit here because the dial is not too thick. The frame, which is silver in 3D effect, is also not too thick. And the benefit of that is the date wheel is close to the dial and the sapphire crystal, doesn't have a shadow around it, and both the single and the double Arabic numerals are clearly legible. Nice fine font to the date window. And you can see each day of the month clicks over. So the singles are aligned correctly, they're not too far to the left or the right of the date window, and also the double Arabic numerals are aligned correctly. They're not too high or too low in the framed date window, and they're not too far to the left or the right. So the fonts used is nice and sharp, it's crisp and high definition. The black Arabic numerals have excellent legibility. But putting it out to the second click position hacks the movement. So if you look at the second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead, so it's possible to hack the movement and set the time precisely with the caliber 9015. Nice light resistance to the gearing, both clockwise and anti-clockwise when you cycle through the 12 hours. Feels smooth, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. You can feel the meshing of the gearing is very good. Build quality, quality control and tolerances are excellent. The 9015 is a premium 9000 series Miyota caliber, and Aision has selected the correct movement for this price point. At €719 in the mid-tier, the NH35A would be wholly unacceptable. A 9000 series movement such as the 9039 or 9015 respectively are the correct choice. So I like it. Minimal backplay, clockwise and anti-clockwise. There's an almost immediate response when you rotate the knurled crown. The minute hand almost immediately responds. There is some very slight backplay, but it is acceptable once you become accustomed to it. Feels good to set the time, feels good to manually wind. Let's test pushing it back down. Nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. One detail I like about the 9015 is the smooth 4Hz sweep. For example, with Seiko calibers such as the NH35A and the NH38A respectively, they run at 3 Hz. So the negative of that is the second-hand stutters or judders around the dial because they run at 21,600 vibrations per hour respectively. But the benefit of Miyota 9000 series calibers such as the 9039 and the 9015 respectively used in this piece is they run at 4 Hz. So the second-hand has a nice smooth characteristic smooth 4 Hz sweep because it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour. So let's test screwing the crown back down. Instant thread pickup. There's a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. This is €10,000 plus price point, quality control, build quality, tolerances and machining of the threads. Silky smooth, sublime screw down crown execution. Aision deserve full credit for the perfect screw down crown. 100 meters is strong specification. This is a daily wear piece, not a dive piece. Strictly speaking, they could have used a push-pull crown or even 50 meters, which would have been good enough for a daily wear piece. But 100 meters with a screw down crown is strong specification. It's very good. I like the feeling of it. The knurling is very grippy and tactile, but it doesn't feel sharp, so it doesn't dig into your index finger and thumb. So let's look at the bracelet in detail. So as I've detailed, integrated bracelet, the internal lug width is 17.3, but at its widest point it tapers from 26.9 down to 18 at the 2-button push clasp. Articulation is smooth, doesn't have excessive longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play, but the end link in the integrated bracelet articulates freely, so it doesn't feel stiff or kink. Quality of the finishing to this integrated bracelet is one of the best I have seen. I have reviewed a plethora of integrated bracelet pieces and I can tell you the finishing of this integrated bracelet is some of the very best I have seen. Beautiful fine grained satin finishing to the longitudinal brushed satin finishing. Every single one of the centre links has been mirror polished on the edge with a bevel to perfection. No sharp corners, no sharp edges to the bevels. It is sublime finishing. The outer flanks, as you can see, on the top edge have a large mirror polish bevel. This is some of the best mirror polishing to bevels on an integrated bracelet I have ever seen. No sharp corners, no sharp edges to the top edge or the lower edge of the flanks. The flanks on the side of the bracelets are brushed satin finish, which complement the brushed satin finish to the top side and the underside. No sharp edge to the top edge or the lower edge of the flanks. Every single one of the links articulates freely. None of the links feel stiff or kink. It just flows freely. It's an absolute delight. This is an example to other mid-tier brands of how to get the build quality, quality control, finishing, tolerances and machining of an integrated bracelet correct. It is fantastic. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, the end link in the integrated bracelet articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play, but it articulates freely. No sharp edges to the top edge or the lower edge of the flanks. The bracelet does not pull arm hairs. It wraps around the wrist very smoothly, articulates freely, feels comfortable. Just look at the luster of the brushed satin finishing. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is €10,000 plus price point finishing on a mid-tier piece costing €719. It's fantastic. Looks good, feels good, doesn't pull arm hairs, no sharp edges to it, doesn't have sharp corners. The taper is also excellent. This is a 40mm head of the piece. It's got a nice taper, very wide at the lugs, 26.9, but then it rapidly tapers down to the 2-button push clasp at 18. So it's got a nice aggressive taper. Visually it looks good, feels good as well because it balances the head of the piece very well. It doesn't feel top heavy, the bracelet perfectly balances, so it's a nice aggressive taper and I like it. So let's look at the clasp. 2-button push triggers are brushed satin finish, correctly proportioned. They don't stick out too much from the left or the right hand flank. Good foam resistance to the 2-button push triggers, and it opens freely. Flawless brushed satin finishing to the top side, underside and flanks. No sharp corners to the internals. Doesn't have sharp edges to the undercut to the flanks on the top edge or the low edge of the flanks. Let's check the hinge pins. Left hand outer hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. Inner left hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. Inner right hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. Outer right hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't have excessive play. Again, this is correct decision after correct decision. Build quality, quality control, tolerances, finishing are fantastic. This is the kind of finishing one expects with a high tier €10,000 plus price point 2-button push clasp. But we're looking at a mid-tier piece costing €719. Finishing is excellent, no sharp corners to it, doesn't have sharp edges to the top side or the underside of the flanks. 4 hinge pins, outer and inner hinge pins are tight. Tolerances are good interference friction fit. I like the firm 2-button push triggers. Feels reliable and robust. Snap shut with a nice positive click. And the other thing I like about this, and Aision deserve credit here because, again, correct decision after correct decision. Often with integrated bracelets, it's difficult to get the correct fit by adding or subtracting one full link from the 6 o'clock or the 12 o'clock side. But Aision have included a half link. One half link on the 6 o'clock side, one half link on the 12 o'clock side of the butterfly clasp. The benefit of that is you can remove a half link on the 6 or the 12 o'clock side to get the perfect fit. So sometimes adding or subtracting one full link doesn't give the correct fit. You need to have a half link, and that will refine the fit. Because with a butterfly clasp like this, the negative is you can't get micro adjustment. There's no ratcheting mechanism, there's no holes in the flanks of the clasp, therefore it's hard to fine tune the fit. But having half links either side, you can get the correct fit. The other correct decision we're looking at here is it uses 1.2mm flat head stainless steel screw pins. For example, they could have used the cost-cutting measure that so many mid-tier microbrands use. They use push pins and integrated bracelet in order to cut production costs and therefore maximise profit margin per piece. But Aision haven't cut any costs. They're using 1.2mm screw pins, which are more expensive to produce, but they refine the quality because the benefit is the bracelet has nice tight tolerances, therefore it doesn't rattle. So it doesn't feel stiff or kink, but it feels nice and tight. It's not a sloppy integrated bracelet. So quality of the finishing is good on the bracelet, quality of the finishing on the clasp is also excellent. Let's look at the case back. So exhibition case back glazed with sapphire crystal. The drilled holes are deburred and chamfered very well, so they don't have any sharp edges. Now, as I've detailed, this Handcrafts limited edition version is numbered. It's one of 200 pieces, and you can see it says limited edition. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. It says limited edition 190/200. So this is number 190 of 200 limited edition numbered pieces. Now, again, they could have cut production costs by simply glazing this with mineral crystal, because strictly speaking, an exhibition caseback doesn't need to be glazed with sapphire crystal, because it's not an area that's prone to being scuffed and scratched with daily wear, as per the front of the piece. But they haven't cut any production costs. This has sapphire crystal in the front, sapphire crystal in the exhibition caseback. Engraved to perfection, high definition engraving. The engraving doesn't feel sharp or rough against the wrist. The stainless steel portion of the exhibition caseback is concentric CNC lathe tool machined. Nice large chamfer on the outer portion of it, which is mirror polished to perfection, so no sharp edge. The flat sapphire crystal is nice and low profile. It's not a bubble back caseback, as you can see. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. It's a perfectly flat screw down caseback which provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters. Nice large portion to the sapphire glazing, which does a good job of displaying the decorated Miyota 9015. So, as you can see, on the bridge to the 9015, we have milled stripes, which are like Côtes du Genève or Geneva stripes. Also, they've decorated it with a gilt skeletonized rotor, which has a cutout for the Aision emblem. So, they deserve credit here because they could have used the cross-cutting measure of just using the standard sterile Miyota 9015 rotor, but they haven't. They've added their own gilt rotor, which is more expensive. It's also got beautiful brushed satin finishing to it, so I like the skeletonized rotor, I like the finishing of it in gilt, and also like the cutout for the Aision emblem. Adds interest to it, and it further enhances the piece. So, very well decorated, very nicely finished rotor, and the sapphire crystal is nice and flat and low profile. Feels smooth, feels comfortable against the wrist to wear it for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. The integrated end links in the bracelets have quick release stainless steel spring bars, and again we're looking at correct decision after correct decision because they could have used standard stainless steel spring bars, but they've used quick release spring bars, and therefore that negates the need for a spring bar tool if you want to remove the integrated bracelet and fit an alternative strap. So very good quality finishing to the underside to the head of the piece, nice large mirror polished chamfers to the edge of the case. Now the benefit of this is, look closely, just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. Look at the large mirror polished bevel on the edge of the case. This deletes the sharp edge. Often mid-tier brands get this incorrect. Integrated head of the pieces often have a sharp transition, a sharp edge to the undercuts to the flanks. The problem with the sharp edge is it feels sharp on the wrist and it scratches, so it doesn't feel comfort. The comfort level and the feel-good factor of wearing the integrated piece is diminished. But if you look at this, it's got a nice large mirror polished bevel which marks the transition between the underside of the case and the flanks. This deletes the sharp edge and it's mirror polished to perfection. This really is €10,000 plus high tier level finishing on a mid-tier piece costing €719. No sharp edges to any angle of this case. The tips of the lugs have been deburred and chamfered to perfection. This is fantastic case finishing. Aision deserve full credit for it. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet and I'm pleased to report this bracelet is very long. I can easily slide 2 fingers beneath the butterfly clasp at all times, and that indicates this would even fit up to a very large 9-inch wrist. Even on my large 8-inch wrist, there is plenty of length. Now, the positive of this bracelet is, as I've detailed, half link on the 6 o'clock side, half link on the 12 o'clock side. But also the positive is there are enough removable links on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side respectively to size this down to a minimum 6-inch wrist size. And this will easily fit up to a maximum 9-inch wrist size. So no concerns whatsoever. If you have a very large wrist of 8 inches plus, there are plenty of links in the integrated bracelet to get the perfect fit. So 6 inches to 9 inches is good. The taper is very aggressive, as I've detailed. The integrated internal is 17.3 lug width, but the external, which is the one you need to think about, is a large taper at the integrated lugs of 26.9, tapering aggressively down to 18. So it's a rapid taper. 26.9 looks wide, but then there's an aggressive taper down to 18. Doesn't feel too heavy. There's not too much meat in the bracelet. Visually, it looks very aesthetically pleasing because on the 40mm head of the piece, the wide taper, 26.9, balances it. The integrated bracelet balances the head of the piece. Now, the thing to note is it is hefty. It's a very heavy 172 grams, but I'm not going to be critical of it because this is a very long integrated bracelet to fit up to a 9-inch wrist. Even I, with a large 8-inch wrist, would be removing 5 or 6 links from this to reduce it down to circa 150 grams of heft, which is the sweet spot for a 40mm integrated piece. As you can see, the dial is absolutely mesmerising. I absolutely love the Momentum Factory Ori made in Japan dial. The copper dial is corroded with chemicals to make it blue, and you can see on the lower portion we have the gold leaf which is applied to it, and that's made by Hakusa Ink in Japan, which are highly respected for their gold leaf. So the dial has this lovely graduated finish. It's not textured, it's smooth, but it's not glossy like an enamel dial, it's matte. So the top portion of it has a coloured finish to the blue colouring of the copper, and then it graduates into the gold leaf. It's just absolutely mesmerising when you look at it. Now, the AR coating on the underside of the flat sapphire crystal does a good job, and the skeletonized mirror polished handset, which also brush satin finished faceted hands, they complement the coloured dial. The mirror polished applied indices are correctly proportioned. So I like the symmetry of the dial, also like the applied silver Aision emblem at 12 o'clock. Ori is just the right amount of information, referring to the Momentum Factory Ori that makes the dial. For example, they haven't over-branded the dial with unnecessary text and specifications such as automatic or the water resistance rating of 100 metres, which is negligible information. We're not looking at a dive piece. This is a daily wear piece which could potentially be worn as a dress piece. The thing I love about this piece above all else is the lustre of the bracelet. It's just mesmerising. When you look at the bracelet, the way it contrasts, I love the H links in it, the brush satin finishing, the mirror polished centre link, the edges, the bevels, and also the outer links have this aggressive mirror polished bevel, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It really does look and feel like a €10,000 high tier piece. Fantastic. Scalloped bezel is also very aesthetically pleasing. I like the brutalist angular lugs, mirror polished to the top of the case, and the angular lugs which are mirror polished. It's just fantastic finishing, really is sublime. Now, another thing I really like about this piece, above all else, is its very low profile. You'll know from my previous reviews, I often refer to 13mm as the sweet spot because that will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. Often with integrated pieces, they have a tall, thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel and tall slab-sided flanks. This piece is not 13 or 12 millimeters. It is only 11.1. Now, but think about that for a moment. It has a flat sapphire crystal which is 100 meters, so it needs to be 2 millimeters thick. Also has a sapphire crystal glazed exhibition caseback, which again adds 2 millimeters of thickness. But this is still only 11.1 millimeters, even though it's 100 meters with an exhibition caseback. Often integrated bracelet pieces are 13 millimeters plus with 100 meters and an exhibition caseback. Aision deserve credit here. They have refined this down to only 11.1, and that's the benefit of using the Miyota 9015 versus using a thicker movement such as the NH35A. If this were powered by the NH35A, it would be 13 millimeters plus with 100 meters and an exhibition caseback. But by using the 9015, they've got it down to only 11.1. Very flat piece. It wraps around the wrist very well because of the aggressive angular profile to the Brutalist lugs and also the taper of the bracelet. Now, the H-link bracelet, as you can see, articulates very freely, rather like female Putal N-link. So one doesn't get this characteristic large gap beneath the tips of the angular lugs and the N-link in the H-link of the integrated bracelet as one often sees on integrated lug pieces. So this is very comfortable. Comfort level of this piece is 10 out of 10. Feel good factor is 10 out of 10. It looks good and it feels good. Above all else, what I like about the bracelet is it doesn't feel sharp. There's no sharp edges to the flanks, doesn't pull arm hairs, and it articulates freely. Each of the links doesn't feel stiff or kinked, so it wraps around the wrist very smoothly. Just feels so comfortable to wear this for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. One of the most comfortable integrated bracelet pieces I have ever reviewed on my channel. The feel good factor of this is fantastic. I absolutely love the mesmerizing dial graduating from a textured blue down to gold leaf. Just a great looking piece from every angle. 11.1 means it's low profile. The only negative subjectively is the heft because it is very heavy at 172 grams. But I think if you remove 6 links plus from the bracelet, that will reduce it down to 150, which is the sweet spot. 150 grams or below for a 40mm integrated piece is comfortable to wear for long periods of time. But the taper on the bracelet is just fantastic. Really aggressive. The thing I like about the clasp is it's low profile. Often with 2 button push butterfly clasps on integrated bracelets, the clasps are too long or they're too wide or they stick too proud from the wrist. But this is low profile and it wraps around the wrist very well. 2 button push triggers don't stick out either side of the left hand flank too far. So it's very well done. And I like that they've got half link either side on the 6 and the 12 side. And also they haven't used the cost cutting measure of making it sterile. It's signed with high definition engraving. Correct decision after correct decision. So comfortable bracelet, comfortable head of the piece. Dial is absolutely mesmerising. So feel good factor is 10 out of 10. Comfort level is 10 out of 10. No negatives to it whatsoever. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged and as you can see, it has not disappointed. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers of BGW9 Super Lume Nova on the applied silver mirror polished indices and the skeletonized handset. Now, one has to bear in mind, they are skeletonized hands which are faceted. They are mirror polished and also brush satin finished to the center. Skeletonized baton hands therefore do not allow for a large area or a large plot of BGW9 to be applied. But however, on a positive note, in daylight, there's a perfect white color tone match. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it again. There's a perfect color tone match. In daylight, the Lume looks white on the indices and also white on the handset, and in the dark you can see the BGW9 also is a perfect blue colour to match. Now the camera's struggling to autofocus, so I'm going to repeat it and hold the watch steady, and therefore we'll repeat the Lume test because I want you to see that it works very well in the dark. So now it's fully charged again, and just bear with me, I'll get the camera to autofocus on it. Right, so now it's focused. You can see the exciter in the BGW9 is performing very brightly, it's potent. This clearly indicates 5 to 6 layers on the applied indices and 5 to 6 layers on the skeletonized handset. Now, although they're skeletonized baton hands, you can clearly differentiate between the shorter hour hand and the longer minute hand. The minute hand is longer and therefore has more BGW9 applied. The hour hand, which is also skeletonized, is shorter and therefore has less BGW9 applied. But what I like to see here is they haven't used the cost-cutting measure that so many low-tier brands and mid-tier brands use. Micro brands will often use 3 to 4 layers on the indices or 3 to 4 layers on the hands in order to cut production costs and therefore maximise profit margin per piece. This has not got any cost cutting with regards to the BGW9 Superlume Nova. 5 to 6 layers on the baton indices, 5 to 6 layers on the skeletonized baton hands. The exciter is continuing to perform to a stellar performance. This is fantastic. The blue tone is excellent, and now again the autofocus is struggling to focus on it, but I can tell you it's very good at this price point. Right, so let's discuss the movement use, because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So you'll know from my previous reviews, the Miyota 9000 series are my personal favourite calibers from Miyota, the 9039 and the 9015 respectively. I like the milled stripes, which are like Côtes de Genève on the bridges, or Geneva stripes, and also I like that they have added their own gilt skeletonized rotor with the skeletonized Aision emblem. So brush satin finishing to the gilt rotor is very aesthetically pleasing, adds interest to it, and as I've detailed, they deserve credit for not just using the standard sterile Miyota rotor made from stainless steel. They've added their own Aision gilt rotor, which is brush satin finished to perfection. So decorated movement, I like the milled stripes. The 9000 series are premium grades of movements. The 9015 is low profile, and the benefit of that is this piece is only 11.1, even though it's 100 meters with an exhibition case back. I would expect this to be 13 plus if it were powered by the NH35A. So the 9015 is made in Japan. It's been in service since 2019, so at this stage in 2025, it's a reliable, well-proven workhorse caliber. It has 24 joules, hand winding and hacking, which is used for complication. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. The benefit of it running at 4 Hz versus 3 Hz is the nice smooth sweep of the second hand. It doesn't stutter or judder around the dial as per 3 Hz caliber such as the NH35A. Quick set date complication works very well. The stated accuracy of the 9015 is -10 to +30 seconds per day, so rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Aision are doing a good job of regulating the 9015s they're using. This one is running consistently at +2 seconds per day when it's fully wound to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. +2 is chronometer grade accurate. Chronometer grade is -4 to +6. So they're clearly regulating the 9015s they're using in 5 positions to attain +2 chronometer accuracy from a 9015. +2 is well within the stated accuracy of -10 to +30. So excellent accuracy, excellent reliability, build quality, quality control, materials, finishing are all fantastic as per all Miyota 9000 series. It's the correct choice because it's low profile, and this piece is only 11.1 as a result. I like everything about the 9015. There are no negatives to it whatsoever. It's reliable, it's accurate, build quality and finishing are all excellent. At this price point in the mid-tier, €719, it is the correct choice to use a 9015 with a date complication. So last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So mid-tier piece, the price point is $788, which is €719. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value at €719. I actually think Aision have undervalued this piece. They could retail this piece at €1,000 plus, and it would still be excellent quality and excellent value. The specification is absolutely loaded at €719. There are no QC issues to this piece whatsoever. I would not change anything about this piece whatsoever. It's very unusual for me to review a piece in the mid-tier at €719 price point and not find a negative or a QC issue, something that needs refinement, something that needs to be improved. This is the perfect daily wear piece, or alternatively perfect dress piece. The dial alone justifies the price because the dial is made by Momentum Factory Ori in Japan, which are highly respected for their chemical colouring of copper and brass materials. The gold leaf is produced by Hakusa Inc. in Japan, which again, Hakusa Inc. are highly respected for producing Japanese gold leaf. The dial alone justifies the €719. The quality of the finishing to the bezel, the head of the piece, the case back, the bracelet and clasp are high tier level. Make no mistake, this is €10,000 plus price point level finishing to the head of the piece and the bracelet. We're not looking at a €5,000 mid-tier piece. This is €719. Quality control, build quality, tolerances, finishing are fantastic. Correct decision after correct decision. Screw pins rather than push pins. Half links either side of the butterfly clasp. It is the perfect daily wear piece. Even sapphire crystal rather than mineral crystal in the case back. No cost cutting whatsoever. Silky smooth screw down crown. The AR coating on the sapphire crystal works well. The BGW9 is 5 to 6 layers. There are no quality control or cost cutting measures on this piece whatsoever. The issues are absent. So, knotted crown is silky smooth, everything about this piece. Visually, the feel good factor is 10 out of 10. The comfort level of this piece on wrist is 10 out of 10. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Aision Handcrafts Gold Leaf Hanmon Gas Sedu Colour Limited Edition. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.